You walk into a shopping mall on a Saturday afternoon. Within minutes, something shifts inside you. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts get foggy. You feel this overwhelming urge to leave. Everyone around you seems fine. They're browsing, laughing, enjoying themselves. But you feel like you're suffocating in plain sight. And the worst part? You can't even explain why. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you understand yourself. Here's what nobody tells you. Hating crowds doesn't mean you're antisocial. It doesn't mean you have anxiety. And it definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. But there is something genuinely different happening in your brain. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do some people thrive in crowds while others want to escape immediately? Your brain processes about 11 million bits of information every single second. But your conscious mind can only handle about 50 bits per second. That means your brain is constantly filtering, deciding what matters and what doesn't. Here's the thing. Not everyone's filter works the same way. Some people have what researchers call a low sensory threshold. Their brains let in more information, more sounds, more movements, more faces, more everything. Walking into a crowded place for them is like drinking from a fire hose. While someone else's brain might register a crowd as just background noise, your brain is tracking every conversation, every movement, every potential threat. It's exhausting. And it's not something you can just turn off. Dr. Elaine Aron's research found that about 15 to 20% of the population has a nervous system that processes stimuli more deeply. That's 1 in 5 people. You're not broken. You're just wired to notice more. But it goes deeper than that. Let's talk about your amygdala. That's the almond-shaped structure in your brain that processes threats. When you walk into a crowded space, your amygdala starts working overtime. Your brain evolved in a world where large groups of unfamiliar humans could mean danger. Your ancestors who were cautious around crowds, they survived. The ones who weren't, they didn't pass on their genes. So when you feel uncomfortable in a packed subway or a busy mall, that's not weakness. That's millions of years of evolution trying to keep you alive. Studies using fMRI scans show that people who dislike crowds have more active amygdalas when exposed to images of crowded spaces. Their brains literally perceive more threat in the same situation that another person finds completely neutral. Now here's something fascinating. This isn't just about introversion. You might think introverts hate crowds and extroverts love them. But that's way too simple. Plenty of introverts can handle crowds just fine, and plenty of extroverts feel overwhelmed by them. What actually matters is something called stimulus screening ability. This is your brain's capacity to filter out irrelevant sensory information. Some people are natural screeners. They can tune out the noise. Others are non-screeners. Everything gets through. If you're a non-screener, walking into a crowded place means your brain is trying to process hundreds of conversations simultaneously. Every laugh, every footstep, every flash of color. Your cognitive load maxes out fast. This is why you might feel exhausted after just 30 minutes in a crowd while your friend could stay for hours. Your brain is doing 5 times the work. Let's talk about personal space, because this is where it gets really interesting. Anthropologist Edward Hall identified 4 zones of personal space. Intimate space, up to 18 inches. Personal space, up to 4 feet. Social space, up to 12 feet. And public space, beyond that. When strangers enter your personal space, your brain triggers a stress response. Cortisol rises. Heart rate increases. You become hypervigilant. In a crowded place, strangers are constantly violating your personal space. For most people, this causes mild discomfort they can ignore. But for others, it's a constant assault on their nervous system. Research found that people who dislike crowds have larger personal space bubbles. They need more distance to feel safe. In a packed environment, they're in a constant state of boundary violation. And here's something nobody talks about. Your brain treats personal space invasion the same way it treats physical threats. The same neural circuits activate. So when you feel that urge to escape a crowded room, your nervous system is genuinely trying to protect you. Now let's add another layer. Autonomy. Human beings have a fundamental need to feel in control. In a crowded space, you lose that control. You can't move freely. You can't choose your path. You're at the mercy of the crowd's flow. This loss of autonomy triggers what psychologists call reactance, a motivational state that pushes you to restore your freedom. That desperate feeling you get in a packed crowd? That's reactance. Your mind fighting to reclaim control. Here's something about modern life that matters. Humans evolved in groups of 50 to 150 people. That's called Dunbar's number. Our brains are optimized for villages, not cities. When you walk through a crowded mall, you might encounter more strangers in 10 minutes than your ancestors met in their entire lives. Your brain isn't designed for this. None of our brains are. But some people's brains struggle more with this evolutionary mismatch than others. Research found that urban living with high population density actually changes brain structure over time. The amygdala becomes more reactive. Cities literally reshape our brains. Now let's talk about energy. Social interaction costs energy. Every person you encounter, even passively, requires some degree of social processing. Eye contact with strangers, reading facial expressions, navigating social protocols. All of this drains something called social energy. People who dislike crowds often have lower social energy reserves. They start with less fuel in the tank. Crowds burn through that fuel rapidly. This isn't weakness. It's just different fuel tank sizes. An electric car isn't worse than a gas car. It just needs to recharge differently. Here's something that might surprise you. Disliking crowds often correlates with higher creativity and deeper thinking. When your brain processes information more thoroughly, you notice patterns others miss. You make connections others don't see. A study from Northwestern University found that highly creative individuals have leakier sensory filters. They let in more information. This same leakiness that makes crowds overwhelming also enables creative insight. So your crowd sensitivity and your creative abilities might be two sides of the same coin. Let me give you a perspective shift. We've created a world optimized for extroverts and low-sensitivity individuals. Shopping malls, open offices, networking events, concerts. All designed for people who thrive on stimulation. If you don't fit that mold, you're constantly swimming against the current. That takes energy. But throughout human history, sensitive individuals served crucial roles. The thinkers, the artists, the people who noticed what others missed. The most profound conversations, the deepest connections, the most meaningful creative works often come from people who hate crowds, who need quiet, who process the world differently. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Your discomfort in crowded places is real. It has biological, evolutionary, and psychological roots. It's not a character flaw. It's not something to fix. It's part of how your brain processes the world. Understanding this can transform shame into self-acceptance. Instead of forcing yourself into environments that drain you, you can make informed choices. Your sensitivity isn't your weakness. It might actually be your greatest strength. You just have to stop letting a crowd-loving world convince you otherwise. So the next time you feel that urge to escape a packed room, don't fight it. Honor it. Your brain knows something. It's been trying to tell you all along. If this changed how you see yourself, drop a comment below. What's your experience with crowded places? When did you first realize you were different? Subscribe if you want more psychology content that actually explains why you are the way you are. I'll see you in the next one.